Chuck Chuck Baby, which is an absolutely enchanting British romantic drama that skirts the edge of musical fantasy while keeping its feet firmly on the ground. So this is written and directed by feature first-timer Janice Pugh. And it stars Louise Brealey, who was brilliant in Brian and Charles. She is perfectly cast as Helen, who is this down at heel, but somehow indomitable, quietly indomitable woman who's just about had enough of life. Her husband, Gary, with whom she still lives, has taken up with a younger girlfriend with whom he now has a child. She still lives in the house, taking care of Gary's ailing mother. It's a lovely performance by Sush Cusack, who is the mother I never had. Their domestic situation is miserable. Her only relief is working in the local chicken factory, which above the door as you go in is a neon sign which says Chuck Chuck Baby, where the company of the other women in the factory offers camaraderie. Here's a clip.
A gravy game. I spy. Good. Bingo? How'd you play bingo with no hands? Disabled people play bingo, like.
Memory games are good for stimulating the brain.
Okay, memory games. Helen, first man you had sex with.
No.
First man you thought of having sex with.
Leave her alone, Paula. Actually, Paula, it wasn't a man.
What does she mean by that?
One day, Joanne comes back into town, she's come back to close up her old house after a bereavement. And it's clear that Joanne meant something to Helen when they were younger, although she says that she was too shy to talk to her. And now her reappearance awakens something or reawakens something in Helen that may change her life or may not. Helen may just be stuck where she is. I had the pleasure of interviewing the star and the director at the BFI IMAX. It was described, Louise Brealey said it was, I'm probably not, she said it was like a northern lesbian chicken factory romance. And the director said it's Ken Loach meets La La Land. And the reason that is because, as I said, it skirts the edge of musicals. There is a sequence early on when Louise Brealey's character is driving and she puts on the radio, and it's that Neil Diamond song, I Am, I Said, which is a song that I absolutely love. And she starts singing along to it. And it's really, really moving. It was like, you remember the Sinead O'Connor Nothing Compares to You video, in which it was just the shot of her face, and as she sings, a tear comes down her face. And you also remember the sequence in Magnolia, which I know you love as well, in which everyone sings along to Amy Mann's Wise Up.
Yes.
This sequence in Chuck Chuck Baby is like those two. And I was knocked out. I just thought this is like one of the best sequences I've seen in cinema in a really long time. Of course, what it is it's just one of a number of musical sequences, which are kind of like impromptu karaoke sing-alongs that kind of morph into full-blown musical numbers. I mean, it takes inspiration to some extent from Jacques Demy's Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which is very directly referenced in one scene with colorful like rainbow umbrellas. And the whole sort of tension of the film is this kind of, on the one hand, they're in a chicken factory and chicken carcasses are being thrown around. On the other hand, they're singing along to a song that's playing on a boombox, or they're having a flight of fantasy, but they're all in a shopping trolley, again with a cassette player playing a tune, or like there's a blossoming romance which plays out on a pair of stilts and a reconstituted go-kart and an abandoned bathtub. And it sounds like it shouldn't work. There's another scene where they're up on a hill and there's a thing about hallucinogenic mushrooms, which is suddenly brought down to earth when one of the women remembers that she hasn't got anything in the house for tea. It sounds like it shouldn't work, but it really does. And it really does, because it does have that thing about feet in the ground, head in the air, heart absolutely, right in the right place. Just a lovely central performance by Louise Brealey, who is a terrific actor. And weirdly enough, I first met her years ago when she was a reporter for Film 4, and she did a report which has now gone kind of viral, in which she saw the Blair Witch Project and was completely wigged out by it. And there's a famous bit of film of her like almost in tears on the pavement afterwards because she was so scared by the film. Anyway, she's a great actor, and she is just on the top of her game in this film. I thought it was lovely. I think there's a section in it which I think is a reference to An Officer and a Gentleman, or maybe it isn't. Maybe I just love that. But it's just great, and the use of music is fabulous, and the performances are great, and it's got that, it's like I said, Ken Loach meets La La Land, and the Neil Diamond song, which I love. And I said to the director, "Was that really expensive?" And she said, "Neil Diamond personally signed off on it. They had to ask him, and they described the film to him.
Wow.
And as a result of him liking it, he let the music." And that song is just, that song gets me in the feels every time. But that sequence,
I'm not a man who likes to swear, but I never care for the sound of being alone.
Yeah.
I've never quite understood that line.
Oh, this comes back to the Paul Simon thing, isn't it? Sometimes things sound...
It just sounds, it does sound fantastic.
They sound great. But honestly, I'm not being funny, but that sequence in which Louise Brealey sings along to that song is one of the most moving things I've seen recently. I love the film. I love the spirit of it. It's a smaller movie, but boy, it's got a big heart. And I'm tearing up just thinking about it. It's just lovely.
Do you remember, it's like I think it's the first episode of Midnight Mass. Remember when we talked about that?
Yes.
And there's a key bit where they get out a very old copy of Neil Diamond's 12 Greatest Hits back from when from the day when 12 was considered, wow,
That's
really?
right.
All 12?
All 12 of them.
Yes. Do they put on Suleiman? I think that's the track they play. Anyway, fantastic. Okay, and it's called
Chuck Chuck Baby.
And hopefully it'll be at a cinema near you.